Today's video we're going to look at how I've changed this base game apartment into a more modern, open spacious layout. Today's project is renovating apartment 19 at the Culpepper House in Spice District. Although this property feels open and spacious, we want to increase the footprint of the living space and make it a lot more appealing to someone who likes to host dinners with their friends. What we'll do first is we'll change the layout plan to decrease the area of the bedroom and allow us to have a much more open living space. We'll also look to increase the footprint of the bathroom too. We're undecided on whether we want it to be a 2-bed, 2-bathroom or 1-bed, 1-bathroom. So we'll explore both options. So what we're going to do first of all is add in a dividing wall, and this will allow us to create spaces for both bedrooms. What we'll do one master bedroom and one small guest bedroom, and we'll put a little ensuite as well as deciding whereabouts we want to put maybe our kitchen. So as we'll be removing the master bedroom, what I'm thinking for the kitchen is we move it from its current location into the top corner, which gives it a bit more space to breathe. So let's start work on the kitchen. I'm going to drop in a whole bunch of furniture, and this furniture is more for placement than anything else. Get a sense of what cost we're going to be spending, what types of equipment we want to put into the kitchen before really considering the style and color scheme throughout. This just allows us to make sure we're not overspending and in certain areas of the apartment when we're trying to furnish the whole thing. What we're going to do, we're going to get some cupboards in up the top as well, and we're massively increasing the amount of storage space that they actually have within this apartment. As you can see, we've got an island, a separate cooker and a separate sink too. We've got a nice big refrigerator in there, and I'm not really sure where to place the bin, so we'll just dump the bin over here. Now that we've got our island, let's add some stools to the island, and this just gives them somewhere to sit as well. In the original apartment, they had a small table with 2 stools, so what we've actually done is gone from the table to the island and increased the amount of space they have to sit in the kitchen. What we're going to do is just try and get a sense of how we're laying out some of the other furniture within the apartment and whereabouts we want it to go. So first of all, we're going to look at the bedroom. Just try and get a sense of the items we want to put in the bedroom. Let's get a dresser in there. We've got the bed in there. We're going to get some side tables. Actually, probably going to put a bigger bed as I accidentally shrunk it. So let's get that in there. Decide which way around we want to put it. And then we're going to get the side tables back in and the dresser back in. Now, I'm not quite sure how much storage I want to put into the bedroom yet, so I had a look. It looks like there's going to be too much if I do 2 big chests. So let's just quickly do the ensuite. Now, we've got to keep that portrait in there. That's part of the requirements of the apartment. So we're going to try and hide it in the little ensuite. We're going to get a toilet, sink, and a mirror in there, and then light it up with some skylights. We're also just going to quickly put a light into the bedroom and try out a few carpet and wall options. I do want my Sims to still have a place to study. That was one thing they had in the old bedroom. So what we're going to do is just going to throw some furniture in and just see how it works space-wise. As you can see, with having the desk in there, it is a tad cramped, so we probably won't keep that how it is. But for now, just having some furniture in there to give us a sense of the space is super handy. Now we're going to try and do a really small guest bedroom here. Got a single bed, and we're also going to put a mirror in there as well for when they're getting changed. So far we've got our kitchen and we've got 2 bedrooms as well. So what we're going to look to do now is our master bathroom. This is going to be shared obviously throughout everyone who's in the apartment, and we want to make sure we've got privacy. So we're going to look at putting some sort of blind or cover over the big window that drops all the light into the bathroom. In the original layout of the apartment, we have a bath, a toilet and a sink. So we're going to do very similar. We're going to try and get a much more mirror area in there. We're going to play around with a couple different mirrors, a couple different counters to decide fully what kind of sort of setup we want in that area. We want to try and maximize the amount of storage that the guests and owners of the apartment would have within the bathroom, but then also trying to keep a bit more modern style to it. We're going to sit the sink in the middle, and we're going to explore some more mirror options. Let's go for the big mirror. Provides backlit as well, and we don't need the storage within the mirror now because we've got all the counter space. And what we're going to do, we're just going to put a couple little bits on the counters in the bathroom, just to get a sense of how we could potentially furnish this bathroom as well. It feels like this bathroom may be taking up a lot more of the living space than we actually want it to. So I'm just going to explore a couple different sizes and see if we can minimize it a little bit so we get a much more open living space. The problem is that I am trying to keep the door on an angle, so it does make it a lot tougher when trying to fit all the different objects within the room. A quick look through at some flooring options, and we get a sense of how the rooms are all coming together. So I'm not fully set with what's happening with the bathroom and bedrooms, but let's just try and get the layout for our living room together, or certainly the seating and the table area, just to see how cramped it would be if we kept this structure to the apartment. So what we want to do is have two big seating areas, a big coffee table that they can use for potentially snacks or games, and we're probably going to also look at putting a rug in there as well. So I can't decide whether we want to spend the budget on a TV or not. The idea of this apartment is for guests to come over and to hang out and potentially play games and chat and stuff like that. So whether the TV is needed in this apartment, I don't know yet. I have a couple options, and in the main living room I kind of wanted to go for a wood feel and then use carpets to add texture. So let's get a big rug in there, and it's very similar to what we had in the original apartment design. It was a large rug with a love seat and a TV, but instead what we want to try and do is add a lot more seating and potentially increase the size of the table as well. I really like these small floating chairs, so what we might do is put the sofa on one side, the table in the middle, and the two seats to the other side. Now the problem is with the two seats that we've currently got, they're quite small, so we don't want the sofa to look massive compared to them. So we're going to get a smaller sofa. And the table looked really cramped between, so we're also going to look at smaller table options too. Once again, we're just going to have a quick look at how we could furnish that section if we kept it. Now, what I was wondering at this point was whether we could put any sort of L-shaped sofas or anything like that, just to try and break up the room a bit, but there wasn't any accessible at the time. Now we're getting more of the furniture in, we're just going to have a bit more of a look at the kind of colours we could be using together. And then what I noticed was the cupboards on the wall that I'd used were previously owned ones, and because this was being designed as a new apartment, we wanted to put fresh ones in there too. Rather than having the flat counter space, I wanted to try and give it this more of a premium feel. So we switched out the counters and island design, and also just put a couple of the essentials in there too. Now, of course, we don't want to lose our chairs at the island, so we're going to put them back in there. But as you can see, it is getting quite cramped. We're going to soften up the wood, and we're just going to have a quick look through some wall designs, but we'll likely keep it to white just to make the area feel a lot more open. So right now it feels really cramped, and we've ended up with this sort of big square of space as you come through the door, but then you're looking directly at a wall. So although I like this bathroom and what's in it, it's not quite working at the moment. So we're just going to see if we can do anything else with it. And we're also trying to increase the space that we have in the living room as well. I feel like the sofa and the two chairs at the island are really close. So we're just going to look at rotating the living area to try and give it a bit more space. I do want to try and get some books into the house somehow, because they had a bookshelf in the previous layout. And it would be nice to feature a fireplace too, if we could. We're just going to put these floating boxes in there that obviously people can sit on, quite comfy. And that actually then allows us to have about 6 people sat around our living space, which is really nice. And because we're using the floating chairs and the small sort of floating boxes, it doesn't really matter where people sit. People could use them for footstools or anything like that. Of course, in the old bedroom, there was the study space, and right now we've tried to fit it into our bedroom. It doesn't really work where it is, so we're just going to try and move that out and maybe put it into the window to give it a bit of a bigger view. Because of the amount of furniture and cosmetics we've got throughout the apartment, we're starting to get really close to that budget. So what we're going to start doing is we're going to start switching out a couple items to see where we can save some money and spend some money, because we're on a tighter budget. I'm still not truly happy with the layout we've got in this area at the moment. It does feel quite cramped. There's room to walk around the island in the kitchen, which is nice, but the rest of the space just doesn't feel quite correct. So what we're going to do, we're going to go down to 1 bedroom, 1 bath, and we're going to use the layout of the new bathroom, but move it over into the corner here, and then we'll remove the ensuite as well. and it massively opens up the living space. And we're going to put the hard floors into the bedroom as well. So what I really want to maintain in this bedroom is having the large bed for 2 people. I want to try and get a rug in there, and we're going to try and look at maybe getting some more storage in there, but potentially looking at other storage options. Going to have a quick update to the wallpaper and flooring throughout. Just trying to add that a bit more consistent, and it'd be really nice if we could fit some sort of small seat in the bedroom, but with the footprint of the whole apartment, it is really tight for us to do that. So probably going to skip over that idea. So one thing that I think would look quite nice is if we have a fireplace within the bedroom itself, to provide some warmth and heat within there. And then that opens up these 2 sort of alcoves left and right that we can then put storage within. So we could go for a small bookcase, or what we could do is look at putting a taller unit in. So we're going to have a look at a couple options in a minute. Now let's just light up the room so it's a bit easier to see what we're working on. So I do like the look of these sort of shoe rack sort of design ones. You could imagine that the drawers in the bottom had other clothes, and then they were just showing off the trainers and boots and stuff like that within the tall storage. We want to put a large painting above the fireplace, and we're going to potentially put another one within the room as well. Just trying to get a sense of which one looks quite nice and plain within the room, and there we go. So what that's done is that massively increased the area that we can have the living room. So we're going to move the living room main sort of seating section, so you see it as you're coming through the apartment door. And then we're just going to get rid of a couple extras. And one thing that we did miss out of the bedroom is we had a side table previously, and that portrait on the wall is still bugging me. So what we're going to try and do is we're going to try and balance it out. We were originally going to hide it, but what we're going to try and do is balance that color throughout the bedroom. So we're going to make the bedroom more of a dark wood, and we're going to try and balance the portrait with the painting on the other side of the window. And then we're going to put the bedside table back in. And we're just going to check the colors options that we have on all the other furniture in there to try and align it a bit better. Okay, so now that the bedside table's in there, we're just going to look at a couple different options, potentially trying to keep the TV in there. Maybe we could put it on a small TV stand, but because the budget is so tight, I actually don't know if we can afford to have the TV, so we're going to take that back out. And we're then going to look at, instead of having that study space, to have more of a seating area as far as a dining table goes. In the original apartment, there was a 2-seat dining table, but what we want to try and do in this one is, because we've got guests, we'd like to get this up to 6 seats if we can. So it's going to be a case of trying to find a chair that feels quite premium but fits the style on a budget. So we're just going to drop these in there. And then what we want to do as well is just add a bit of a sort of comfort to your feet rather than the wood, and it also gives that area a bit of its own sense of space. And then add the privacy throughout the apartment. So all the main windows, we're going to just put blinds on. So what we're going to do now is we're just trying to make sure we're happy with the space and the layout of different stuff like that. Whether we want to tighten areas up or maybe explore a bit of a different option in the bathroom, because there is a lot of empty space in there. Potentially looking at maybe we have the bathroom smaller, but then it gives us this sort of odd shape that we didn't want to do in the apartment, so we're just going to put that back. So what we're going to do now is just make sure we've got lighting throughout the apartment, and we're going to put a little ceiling light above the main door as well, just to balance out the light within the main room. Now, one thing we could do in the bathroom is potentially having a half divide, so as you're walking in, the bath's not directly next to you. But one of the things with the half divides in this game is that they've got multiple heights, and I couldn't get the balance to feel right between the space that you would have with the door and the bath, because we don't have like half blocks, the full set blocks. So sort of stepped away from that idea. So what we're gonna do, we're just gonna add a few more furnishes throughout the apartment. Obviously playing with quite a tight budget, and we want to try and, if we can, do something with this wall. You obviously won't see this wall as much because most of the time in the apartment you'll be looking at the views, and as you walk in it is the wall behind you. It'd be nice if we can just do a little bit in there. So let's go throughout the apartment, just add some more furnitures to each of the rooms. That bin is still bugging me. I cannot decide where to put that. So one thing I wanted to do is just break up the doors. I didn't want it to feel like it was double doors to one room. I wanted it to feel like the rooms were separate, so we just moved it over by half. And then I'm thinking what we could do with this space here is we could add a fireplace in. It gives the tenants the ability to add a wall TV above it if they wish, once they got more budget. But we're not going to spend that budget today because we're on a limited one. So what we're going to do, we're just going to put some pictures on there, get some more books in there. That bin is still bugging me. And look again, a coffee maker in there too. Wasn't quite happy with the flooring we have in the bathroom, but the budget's that low that I don't have a chance to explore many different options, so we're going to keep it as it is for now. What I just wanted to do is see if I could find undercounter lighting for the kitchen, but I couldn't find any that worked. It feels like having 4 lights within the bedroom is a bit of a waste of the budget. So we're going to try and see if we can find one fixture that would illuminate the bedroom. Also to consider in this room, we're going to get the light off the fire once it's lit. So it doesn't need to be the strongest ceiling light. And actually a slightly dimmer ceiling light may help with the sort of ambience of the room. Of course, we can add a side table light to aid the lighting within the room when the fire's not lit as well. So what we just try to do now is just match the colours a bit more. We want to use the legs on the kitchen the kitchen aisle to match the ones on the dining table, and then we're just going to explore a couple more options within the room to try and make all of the room feel as part of the same room rather than these disjointed sections. And likewise in the other rooms, just see what options we have now that we've got the furniture that we're thinking we're going to have in the apartment itself. So I've still got 84 simoleons to play with. I couldn't really decide what I wanted to do with it. I felt like the best bet would probably be something in the kitchen, just to add that sort of personal touch. They've got the calendar and what they're planning on doing that week. In the old layout, we had a very small kitchen and table. Within the new layout, we've been able to add a much bigger kitchen, island, and separate dining area. The old entertainment section was quite minimal, whereas now there's a lot more space and you can have a lot more guests. The old bathroom was tiny, way too tiny. We've been able to increase the footprint of it, add a much bigger mirror and more storage to this area. The bedroom was huge, way too big for the apartment, so what we've done is we've made it smaller but adding enough storage that we're not losing out. And there you have it, that's the full apartment. It's a lot more modern, a lot more open, and a lot more bright and inviting than the previous layout. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button to let me know. I'll have more videos soon, so if you don't want to miss out, make sure to hit that sub too. But until next time, have a great day and I'll catch you soon.